Welcome to Footprints in the Market. Today we have a very special guest. We have Michael Filletti, who is the co-founder of Rowdy. Welcome, Michael, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
So I was having a look, obviously, at the kind of tech that you guys provide and Rowdy, doing a little bit of research before today's episode. But I thought it would be really good just to learn from you a bit of like your journey behind that.
Yes.
And maybe some of the defining moments in your career that led you to be at Rowty and why you thought that that was a piece of tech that we needed within this iGaming space.
Yes, cool. Yeah, so yeah, I'm Michael. Yeah, my background is basically in data. So I'm a data guy, graduated in maths and statistics. I did a course in AI as well back in the day. And yeah, I was a data analyst pretty much before. One of my experiences as a data analyst was with a big affiliate at the time. And when I was there, I kind of learned as well the challenges that affiliates have when it comes to data. Data is very scattered for them. Even just being able to report how much money they're making is difficult. So that was something which really interested me. For some reason, it fascinated me, this idea that there was this niche that was still a bit behind in terms of data. Aside from that, in another experience that I had with another company, I really enjoyed being part of like a startup because I just enjoy the idea of building things, of if we have a problem, okay, let's just fix it, and we fix it. There's no bureaucracy involved. It's there's something fun about it, and these two kind of elements together kind of took me, I think, on my journey towards building Route. We understood that, okay, look, there's this big problem in affiliation where affiliates not only are struggling to report revenue,
Mm.
but are leaving a lot of money on the table. They're not optimizing. They don't know how to grow. And that was the reason why we built Route, to help affiliates become smarter with data, for them to effectively use their data. And so that when they think of data, they don't, just go like, oh, what a headache. We want them
Yeah.
to be able to use it, to leverage it, to grow.
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? It's like making it as easy as possible for the affiliate to actually,
Yes.
pull reports on. And is that the kind of main challenge that you think Rowdy sorts? Like when you're saying that they have scattered data, so they have to access like lots of different texts or third-party softwares, and to enable them to sort of try and analyze that. Would you say that that's the biggest thing for Rowdy, or what's the main challenge, I suppose?
Um, I think I think I think there's a few different things. So that's obviously one of them for sure. Is in having all your data scattered is a pain. But aside from that, I think it's also because their data is so scattered and they don't own a lot of their data. Okay, so let's say you're an affiliate. Okay, a player comes in, clicks on a link on your website, and they go to Bet365, for example. Now you've lost the player data wise, right? Because now he's on Bet365 platform and you rely on them to give you the data. So even getting that data is not easy because you don't own the data. So you're reliant on Bet365. And that's kind of a part of the challenge as well. So making sure that the data that you then get from Bet365 is rich enough that you can actually make insights. So there's a few different things. I think there's a massive education challenge around the industry because affiliates again are used to a certain way of working. And now I think there's this greater interest in, okay, how do I make more money, blah blah blah. But it's an education problem because I think that affiliates are not very solution aware. They know there's a
Mm.
problem, but they don't know what the solution is. They don't know how to deal with it. And I think that's one of the biggest like challenges that we have around Route, like explaining it to the client, explaining to the affiliate, because again, when they didn't know that having this sort of data was even possible.
Well, that actually kind of ties me into my next question, like how you validated the market need for that. Like, did you already, obviously, you said that you were working for a big affiliate before. Did you already have like connections within the space? Did you do like a focus group, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so for sure, my experience with the big affiliate was like a big indicator of that, right? Aside from that, yeah, for sure, like connections in the space, having chats with a few very experienced people in the space, telling me, that there's this problem, that affiliates cannot they cannot optimize, and I think those two things, like, combined my experience with what I had been told by a couple of friends and a couple of connections of mine, kind of came together. Aside from that, seeing more tools pop up on the market was like as well another indicator. So it was something which I knew there was a problem. The only thing was, okay, how do you solve it?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the interesting parts about, again, getting to that stage where the market is ready to get deeper level insights. And that's where we are, I would say, right now, where the market knew it needed a solution to automate, pulling data. But I think now we're getting to a stage where the market needs something to optimize, to optimize the business, to solve revenue leak and all these different things.
And what about your own sort of personal journey within Rowdy? Like, were you there right from the beginning, or you came in a little bit later on, didn't you?
Yes, I came in a bit later. So my partner Chaim had basically built Routy. He's a software engineer. He's like tech wizard. So he built everything up from scratch. And I remember when I came across Routy, I remember I was shocked because I didn't even know that, again, having this level of data was possible. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, this seems this is exciting. The early days, I would say, were very very exciting. For me particularly, as in on a personal level. I mean, I had been a data analyst before that, so my role was more of like, it's more of a support function, right? It's like, okay, I deliver data to different functions of the business. I worked with everyone in the business. I mean, whether it's head of C-level, whatever, that's fine. But now all of a sudden, my role was quite different because obviously we're a small team of, we were three people at the time, and the other two were devs. So I was responsible for like operational things and whatnot. So this was a bit of a challenge, and I think there was a big element of imposter syndrome there as well, because
Yeah.
when you're going, to sell, when you're going to conferences and whatnot, I'm like a bit, I felt a bit like a fish out of water. But it was really, really exciting as well at the same time. So anytime I would have like a good demo or I'd get good feedback from a client or whatnot, the rush was really, really amazing. So it was character building, and it was a lot of fun as well. I mean, ultimately, and that's why I had joined. Because I just wanted to have fun. I saw this problem, and it was good for me as well. And again, I mean, I got a lot of skills from it, even in the early days, and even more now, obviously.
But I think even from our side, we've seen Rowdy about in like so many iGaming publications. The profile and the names definitely out there. Was there a moment for you when you were just kind of like, oh, this is working. This is we've kind of landed.
Um, it's a good question. I think, I mean, I'm someone who is like very like self-critical, okay? So I don't
Yeah.
think that I ever had that moment, to be honest. And until we're like, some like massive company, I don't think I will. But I think there were certain moments where it's like, okay, um, I think we're onto something. I remember in the early days I had quite a few demos. And when I have a demo with a client and I show him like a part of Routy, and they get very excited about it, I'm like, okay, that's one. It always feels good, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I think we're onto something. And aside from that, I had one client of ours who was using Router to like see basically, to optimize their website, because they wanted to see which pages were converting better and which weren't. And um, and they were previously using just clicks to do that,
Yeah.
but we know as data people, I mean, clicks don't pay the bills, right? It's
Yeah.
FTDs, and it's obviously revenue. So we had a client who told us, "Wow, guys, I was looking at Route and I was shocked. We had a page that was generating like 6 clickouts. I assumed it was totally worthless, but it's actually converting really, really well, and we're getting like 3 FTDs a month from it. And that was for me like really like, wow, okay, this is something where like this affiliate, because of Route, is now changing their strategy slightly.
Yeah.
and is going to make more money from it. And it was something really, really cool. Again, for me, that's ultimately why we do what we do, to help out affiliates. And it felt good,
I think that's the thing. Obviously, you're saying that you come from that like data and analytical background, whereas traditionally you would, like marketers, like they have that, the creative mindset. But do you think the
Yeah.
fact that you have that allows you to apply like a different logic to it to kind of make it more successful, so that you're looking at this data and well, all of your choices are data driven and ROI based?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think so like you say, I mean, I'm not a natural marketer. I learned quite a bit about marketing just being on Routy, but it
Yeah.
doesn't really come, I think, naturally, to me because my mind just works on logic and numbers, it's just how I am. I think partly it's been good and partly not as well because I think that again, I think that for me, you always want to have a great marketer on your side. And I wish that I had this ability, to like come up with like a story and whatnot. And I think to a certain degree I've gotten better at it, but it's just not how I am. I would describe myself as being a problem solver.
Yeah.
So what's good is that when I have an affiliate who needs to solve a problem, I can solve it for them. That's really what it comes down to. So I don't know if it answers your question, but again, it's just a bit kind of about how I work.
But you know what? I think that's like the best thing about marketing because that's what we're always trying to find, the problem and how a product solves that. And it sounds as if, Rowdy does that and that you guys have been really, really good at displaying that message. Is there been anything since you guys have started in terms of like your own marketing or tactics that you think have worked really, really well? Or has it been like mainly like relationship building and conference attendance and stuff like
Um, I think so in terms of like the best channel for us, and I'm sure it's the same for even our competitors, and I think most people in B2B is just referral marketing is unbelievable. For us, it's like a game changer. So most clients that we got, I would say, or not most, but maybe like a good percentage of them came through referrals, So we have one client who's happy and he tells us about another client and that client tells us about another client, etc.
that?
And kind of having this network really, really helps. The reason I think why it's so valuable in affiliation is that, well, at least in, let's say, affiliate data, is that affiliates are very protective, okay, of their
Yeah.
data. They're very sensitive with their data. And if I go up to an affiliate and tell him, look, do you want to kind of, what's your data solution, blah, blah, and I start selling to him, he's unlikely to budge, to be honest, over it
Yeah.
because they don't know me. It's also a bit of a complicated topic. Um, but having someone like, if you know an affiliate and you tell me, okay, this guy needs help with this, it just jumps over a ton of hurdles. Why? Because okay, my friend is using it, they're doing well with it. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
interested. And there's also this element of trust that then shows up. So for us, referral marketing, I don't think it was a surprise, but it's something which definitely worked very well. But otherwise, it's always, always, always relationship building. I mean, it's that for me makes a huge, huge difference. Even I was speaking to a friend of mine. So I had actually reached out to him like over a year ago to kind of use Routing and whatnot. I remember I messaged him on WhatsApp and he just did like a thumbs up reaction to me and didn't speak to me again. And then somehow I ended up meeting him at a conference, and we had a chat and everything. And I had no idea who. Like I totally forgot about him, and same. It was the same for him.
Okay.
And we chat and we became friends and whatever. And then I found out, okay, that he was also like, because he's an operator, but he was doing an affiliate thing as well. So, and then I found out, okay, he's doing an affiliate thing, and we started talking about Routy, and I added him on WhatsApp. So I added, and when I added him on WhatsApp, I saw my old message there, and I was like, I had already spoken to you, but like, but because it was just something cold, obviously there was like nothing from it.
Yeah.
But because now we have like a relationship and everything, they're now, I mean, they're clients of Routy, So relationship building is everything, in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think like especially within the iGaming space. I think like obviously a lot of people always say like it's super, super like conference heavy, which it is. But I think it is just because, nobody's based in the same place. We're
Yeah,
all scattered about. So there is
yeah,
that element of we all kind of need to get together at
for
certain
sure.
points and kind of get that kind of face-to-face interaction that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, conferences, I mean, there are so many. And I really cannot complain about conferences because I'm based in
Yeah,
Malta and like I think I have like three or four over here.
yeah,
So I mean I shouldn't complain. But there are really, really a lot of conferences. But there's something about, again, meeting people face to face. I think in general everyone in the space is so friendly as well that
yeah,
I always get this good feeling, when I go to a conference and afterwards I say, oh, that was fun, and it was just, networking, meeting people. I mean, save for a few here and there, everyone's been always very, very nice. And that's something which is quite nice about that. It is a big industry. Um, and yeah, conferences are good ultimately. They help business. And I don't think there would be so many conferences doing so well if
yeah.
it wasn't the case.
I think as well as obviously you're seeing it as like a super big industry. You noted at the start that there are more and more like techs kind of like popping up and more of these
Mhm,
types of solutions. Do you
mhm.
think that's a sort of like good sign for something like Rowdy because it kind of shows that the landscape is changing and people affiliates are getting a little bit smarter when it comes to data and analysis?
Yeah,
Or do
yeah.
you think that there's still a gap? Do you think that we're still a little bit behind?
Um, I think so. I think that having competition is always good. Our competitors are very good at what they do, and they've helped us get better. Even me personally, because of
Yeah,
competitors of ours, I've grown a lot. Um, I think that there's still a gap and a few steps to be made for the industry to be fully ready for our tools. I mean, there still are many large affiliates who pull data manually, which is a shame, but it is
yeah,
what it is. But that will change. I'm sure of it. And again, getting a more optimized industry will happen, because ultimately I think that the affiliates that will succeed are the ones that are listening to their data, that are more
yeah.
data aware. Okay, because that's what's pushing our tools forward, is that the space is becoming now all of a sudden much more competitive and much more tough. I mean, affiliation is not easy anymore. It's a difficult niche, and that puts tools like ours and of our competitors in a good light, because all of a sudden now we're needed. So now, again, doing things manually when you can automate them, that's becoming almost a must. So I think, again, some steps to be made, but I'm seeing the two sides, let's say, collide. As in, the gap is getting smaller and smaller.
I think as well, a big part definitely from an agency side in terms of affiliate management, I think is like that relationship building between the affiliate and operator. And I think the more data as well that affiliate can show the operator in terms of like, what they're doing to optimize things and make things better, I think goes a long way to building those relationships. So do you think even like as a byproduct, having something like Route actually helps their overall business model and not just, that short-term FTD or even like lifetime cycle data
Yeah.
stats?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the relationship, I think, between affiliates and operators is like a bit complicated as well.
Yeah,
But I can speak to it from a data side. I mean, I've spoken to affiliates who are like, look, I'll only work with an operator if they do postbacks. So for anyone, whoever doesn't know, a postback basically is like, you can look at it as real-time reporting. Okay, so you get an FTD and the operator immediately informs you about it. Okay, so there are affiliates who are already a bit who have certain standards, where they expect certain levels of reporting, certain levels of transparency. Ultimately, and I'm tired of saying it, and I know my colleagues are too. Trust and transparency are key for any relationship.
yeah,
Now, again, it's complicated, and I'm nor an operator nor an affiliate.
yeah.
But there are always some good chats at conferences where you see an operator and an affiliate talking, and it's always interesting, to see both sides of the coin. I think that again, a tool like Routy or like of our competitors and whatnot can only help, because like that an affiliate knows what's working with an operator and what's not working. And yes, sometimes there are operators that just don't work well for you. It happens. um but I mean, you cannot cover up performance ultimately, because you're not going to have trust, and it's just not going to work out as a relationship. You can maybe extend it for a bit longer, but I think that the industry is in a space where it's maturing enough, where now this is becoming almost an expectancy, an expected thing. But yeah, it's something which I think is really interesting. Again, there are good chats at conferences where you see the affiliates and the operators talking. They're always a bit feisty.
Yeah. There's always a little bit of, we'll wait and
Yeah,
see. We'll sussing each other
yeah,
out.
exactly. There's this like edge between us. Always, it's always good to watch. But yeah, I mean, for me, this is something that I've said even in other interviews. But I think that my wish for affiliation, and it was my wish even back in the day when I first got into it, is to see like an affiliate when they're negotiating a partnership with an operator, is to see them set standards for certain data that they expect to receive, because you cannot accept just being told, okay, Mike, you made 10K this month, and
Yeah.
that's it. But yeah, but what did this 10K came from? Is it from one player? Is it from 100? I've seen affiliates promote brands that are generating 10K monthly, for example. And this 10K is coming from a player that they sent 2 years ago, and they're just still
Yeah.
promoting because they don't know that it's coming from a player of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's again, there's a lot in it for the affiliate to get more data, and that's why we're here ultimately.
Definitely. I think transparency is key, and I think that's what you're saying, even between the affiliate and the operator, but
For
even
sure.
for Routy, in terms of
Hmm.
what you guys are pushing. And I
Hmm.
think that, you're kind of saying at the beginning that you're kind of like wearing like a lot of hats just now
Yeah.
in terms of like, the operations, the marketing side of things as
Yes.
well. But do you think that with that comes an element of sort of like authenticity? So I was actually having a conversation, it was like not last week, but the week before, and it was really interesting because the conclusion we came to is like marketing is never perfect. And if you're always waiting for perfection, you would never get something out the door. So maybe having that sort of authentic tone of voice and having somebody who's like so passionate about that product behind it might have actually propelled your brand a little bit more than what you might think.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, we actually we're working with an agency who was doing like some interviews of our clients, and you told us the biggest thing that I saw was that your clients like what they love most about Routy is you guys. Is
Yeah.
that you guys are very helpful, you're authentic, etc. And in my mind, again, that was like a surprise. I mean, it makes sense. But I think that again, being authentic, I think being relatable, and just being approachable and nice, it helps. It for sure helps. I mean, I know that again, going to conferences, meeting people, and just being a nice person helps. It does help our brand, and it helps our image, obviously. Because if I'm going around being I'm not sure if I can swear, but an asshole.
Yeah, it's
You
fine.
can. Okay, good. If I'm going around being an asshole, I mean, who's gonna buy from me, right? Because no one
Yeah.
wants to deal with me. So yeah, I think there is an element of that for sure. At least I'd like to think so.
If you did have like unlimited marketing budget for Rowdy, what's the biggest thing that you would do? What's like the biggest campaign you would run,
Oh,
or the big
that's
dream?
really that's really difficult. I mean, my personal dream would be to have us be a shirt sponsor of Juventus because they're my football
Oh,
team.
cool.
So having us on there would be very nice. Maybe we'll get a box as well in the
Yeah.
stadium. So that would be my dream. Let's say I don't know how good it would be for Routy, to be honest, but for me, I would be
Yeah.
happy. um, I think that again. I mean, it's a very difficult question because I think there's no real blueprint yet for marketing to affiliates, for marketing a tool like ours to affiliates. like I mentioned, it's all about education. So a massive education campaign. I mean, again, being at conferences is also very, very helpful because it's where you build relationships ultimately. Um, um, maybe I'll just go with the Juventus answer because at least we
I
have
think that's a
a
good
nice
answer. I think that's a
yeah.
good answer.
I would be so happy like that. Keep your eyes peeled. Maybe maybe it'll soon happen.
Exactly. Listen, I did say what your dream was, so to be fair, you did answer perfectly based on
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So in terms of like the future, what kind of trends do you see that excite you most for the affiliate world, and how do you see Rowdy fitting into those?
So I think it's something, I'm not sure if it's even the future anymore, more than
Mm,
the present, but one thing that we've been seeing a lot is affiliates getting very let's say that they're starting to vary the types of traffic sources that they do.
yeah,
So what I mean by that is that, I mean, in the past, typically you'll have an affiliate and they just do SEO, for example. So they just have a
yeah,
website and they promote with SEO. Now, I would say that most of our clients do a bit of everything. So the guys that were doing SEO are now doing PPC. They're trying out email, and this for me is something which is quite exciting, to be honest, because
yeah,
it means that affiliates are trying different things. They're starting to measure things in a different way, and they're starting to think in a different way as well. You know, because all right, you have guys who are doing only SEO and they're doing a really good job and they're going well, and it's fine. Um, but these affiliates that are trying different things, you start to see them think differently and they start to
yeah,
get more interested in data. What's the data telling me? Because all of a sudden, it's a new area for them. You know, if you were doing just SEO, now PPC is something new. And that I think is really valuable for us because it's meant that affiliates are more interested in data. And
yeah,
aside from that, Routy as a tool, I mean, we have different types of affiliates. So we have affiliates who do email, SMS, SEO, who have a network, whatever. And for us, it means that I mean, we work with affiliates who have our tool and have our competitors' tool as well. So they use us just for a particular function of the business. And that also, again, opens up things because maybe our competitor is the best one to do A and we're the best one to do
yeah.
B and they just want to combine it. So I think it's something which is really, really exciting and that's really, really good. But you cannot talk about trends without mentioning something like AI, you know, which is obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, this is impacting, I had to mention it, you know, at some point. But I think
I've
it's,
not had a podcast missing it, so it's fine now.
exactly, exactly. I just had to check it off, you know. No, I mean for affiliation, and I mean AI is changing everything. You know, it's not just. I mean, affiliation is just part of what's being changed. I think what's interesting is how people are looking up information, how that's changing, and how people's mind is working as well. I think that's going to be definitely something which is, let's say, it's something obviously to watch. It's already impacting the industry in the sense that I mean, I use AI, for example, obviously, you know, to automate things and like to maybe check an email or whatever, or to clean it up a bit. So that's something which I'm just really curious to see how it's going to change how people look up information because it's already happening, but I have no idea what it will look like.
But I think you're right in terms of what you were saying, like with affiliates diversifying their models in terms of not just going for SEO and not just going for PPC, that kind of like spreads the risk for that
Yeah.
a little bit as
Yes.
well because we are in a little bit of a
For
different
sure.
time.
For
So I
sure.
think probably the ones that are performing best are not like the ones who are just saying, oh, solely SEO, because you know what happens if they get hit with a Google penalty all
Yeah.
of a sudden
No,
then they
exactly.
have nothing.
Exactly. To be fair, the ones that I've seen who do only SEO, I mean, they are like experts at SEO and they're
Yeah.
doing extremely well. So fair play to them. But I think it's yeah, I think that it makes sense as an affiliate for me to diversify your channels is unless you're like 110% sure that you know again what you're doing is right. I would always recommend to an affiliate to diversify your channels, you know, try different things, you know, again, become more um don't risk everything on one channel because you know like you said, I mean, I've seen guys doing PPC who have totally dropped off. I saw guys doing SEO who were hit badly. So yeah, it's something really important to do, I think.
Okay, so what we're going to do, Michael, is we always close with a sort of golden nugget type question.
Okay.
And what I thought would be good, if you could give us one piece of advice you would give anybody starting up a new business within the iGaming space, what would that be based on your journey?
Okay, so wow, so the first bit of advice is I would say to um I think it's to enjoy the journey for all it brings with it. I think that for me, the biggest challenge that I had, more than anything, was like mentally, just being
Yeah,
able to manage the bad days, particularly. So I mentioned in the start, for example, I mentioned that I'm very self-critical and I'm hard on myself.
yeah,
So managing the bad days was difficult. The good days were easy because I mean it's not like I ever thought I was like the best thing since sliced bread. But I think that is something that you should really really keep in mind. Make sure that to remember why you started this in the first place, which is to have
yeah,
fun. Because there will be days when it's tough. I had days which were really tough and like and it's not easy. But having a good support system around you, having other things, for me, it's like, for example, going to have a game of football, which like relaxes me. Having these sort of outlets because a business is up and down, and ultimately, when you start a business, I mean, there's a good chance you're gonna fail. It's just a
yeah,
fact. So you just have to accept it, make sure that you keep yourself mentally grounded, and just enjoy the journey ultimately because it is ultimately it's a lot of fun. It's a roller coaster, and I think it grows you as a person. At least it did for me. So that would be my sh short nugget. Would be just enjoy
yeah.
enjoy the journey.
See, I think that's not only good iGaming advice, but just good life advice. There we go.
Exactly, exactly,
There we
exactly.
go. Okay, well, thank you so much, Michael, for appearing on Footprints in the Market. What we'll do is we'll see if we can get that furniture event
Yeah,
deal close for you
keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. Huh?
next UFC. But thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely
Nice. Thank you very very much. It was really a pleasure, guys.
amazing.